In states like my home state of Missouri, and throughout the country, disabled persons and their families are in crisis. They're searching for answers because the federal government is forcing states to abandon a time-tested and stable employment model called the sheltered workshop. A sheltered workshop is defined as a place of employment for persons with disabilities where their rights are protected and their needs are met. It's a workplace that provides a supportive environment where persons with intellectual or physical disabilities can acquire job skills and get vocational training. According to the National Disability Rights Network, there are some 500,000 disabled persons working in sheltered workshops throughout the country. And with countless sheltered workshops across the country, from California to Texas to New York, in imminent danger of being permanently closed, tens of thousands of sheltered workers across the country face sudden unemployment, separation from lifelong friends, and many with little hope of finding jobs elsewhere. For sheltered workers, their job is a safe harbor for those whose skills, abilities, or limitations won't allow them to find or maintain mainstream employment, but who have much to offer in the right structured setting. These are men and women who want to work, who derive a deep sense of purpose and belonging from their jobs, and who've been thoroughly screened to ensure that these opportunities are the best fit for them. While some employees would qualify for supported employment in a mainstream environment, others have such severe disabilities or behaviors that, should their sheltered workshops be forced to close, they would be left little option other than to languish in a overtaxed family environment or in some structured daycare program. You know, and there are still other challenges faced by disabled workers trying to find competitive mainstream employment. Things like transportation, the extra funding needed for one-on-one training, things we don't even think about, like some disabled workers need support for feeding themselves or using the restroom. These are challenges that would be next to impossible to deal with in a mainstream job situation. But these are the kind of challenges that disabled workers in sheltered workshops can handle. It's important to note, these are hard-working individuals with myriad diagnoses from moderate to severe autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, and even traumatic brain injuries from things like accidents to military service, who have all made the commitment to a steady job despite the challenges they face every day. It is for these individuals that sheltered workshops exist, and it is for these men and women that they should be protected. Recently, the federal government has been stepping up its efforts to close sheltered workshops across the country, and in so doing, effectively shutters an entire industry designed to support disabled people who want to work. In states like Vermont, where sheltered workshops were closed some years ago, just 36% of those formerly employed have been able to find jobs in the mainstream community, and most of those averaged less than 10 hours per week. It is estimated that only about half of the individuals currently employed in New York's 113 sheltered workshops would be likely to find mainstream employment outside the sheltered workshop system, leaving over 4,000 people permanently unemployed. Now, there are a select few who are speaking out on behalf of sheltered workshops. New York State Senator Rob Ortt is urging Governor Mario Cuomo to protect sheltered workshops from closing. Senator Ortt stressed, without a plan, we fear many of these individuals will wind up at home unemployed. In states like Texas, California, and Pennsylvania, they utilize what's called an employment first model, meaning that caseworkers exhaust every viable option to find disabled persons mainstream employment before moving them to a sheltered workshop option. In Pennsylvania, for example, even with this model in place, there are still some 13,000 persons at work in sheltered workshops, underscoring the importance of having sheltered workshops as an alternative. We strongly believe that sheltered workshops have an important role to play in providing for the needs of men and women with disabilities who are able to work and who desire the dignity of employment, and thus sheltered workshops deserve every fiscal and legal protection. It is with this in mind that we intend to set out and travel to our nation's capital and to every state that has sheltered workshops facing budget cuts or closure and speak directly with key leaders about this issue, urging them to protect sheltered workshops and recognize their value as part of a comprehensive plan to provide options for disabled Americans who want to work. And we will take the message from every sheltered worker to those elected to serve them and simply say, our voice matters too. The initial goal is to hit the phones this winter and coming spring, making contacts and setting appointments with any and all civic leaders, interested parties, and legislators involved in this issue. From there, we will set out on the road next spring and summer, meeting face-to-face with these decision makers across America, urging them to support disabled Americans who wish to work and not deny a job to those who are able. Disabled workers have a right to voice their opposition to a policy that so poorly serves them, and we won't come home until their voice is heard. It is for this cause that we're seeking your support today. Any amount that you can give, $10, $20, $50, any amount will move us one step closer to answering the call in service of these hardworking, dedicated, disabled Americans who just want to keep working.